The qualification session is at laser scanned ACC conversion. In Suzuka, Mie Prefecture, Japan. The wind speed is 4 km/h from the north-northeast. Dylan Conway from South Africa is P2. Jaco Wies from Namibia in first corner is P4. Leon from South Africa is P2 on softs. Leon is up 10.40 in anti-bank curve. Leon is up 0.31 in first corner. Tommy Glad is provisional pole with a 0.54.327. Leon is up 0.10 in anti-bank curve. Dylan Conway in last curve is third. Brandon Griesel is provisional pole with a 0.54.044. Dylan Conway improved is fourth with a 0.54.848. 0.804 off pole. Tommy Glad from South Africa in last curve is P2 on softs. Jaco Wies is provisional pole with a 0.53.935. Tommy Glad improved is third with a 0.54.288. 0.353 off pole. Jeffrey Leroux is provisional pole with a 0.53.246. Leon is seventh. Leon improved is sixth with a 0.54.524. 1.278 off pole. Jaco Wies is P2 up 0.15. Jaco Wies improved is P2 with a 0.53.691. 0.445 off pole. Janine Glad from South Africa is ninth on mediums. Janine Glad improved is eighth with a 0.55.108. 1.862 off pole. Janine Glad is up 0.80 in snake. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Janine Glad improved his P5 with a 0:54.032. 0.786 off pole. Janine Glad is up 0.02 in first corner. Jeffrey Eliru from South Africa in first corner is P1 up 0.11 with 75 kilos on softs. Janine Glad in Snake is fifth up 0.10. Janine Glad improved his fourth with a 0:53.777. 0.531 off pole. Janine Glad is up 0.04 in first corner. Dylan Conway is seventh. Peter Grobler is sixth on softs. Peter Grobler is up 0.13 in anti-bank curve. Peter Grobler improved his P6 with a 0:54.150. 0.904 off pole. Janine Glad is fourth. Jaco Weiss in anti-bank curve is third up 0.20 driving a Nissan. Jaco Weiss improved his P2 with a 0:53.443. 0.197 off pole. Leon in Snake is 8th up 0.15. Janine Glad in anti-bank curve is P4 up 0.10. Janine Glad improved his fourth with a 0:53.723. 0.477 off pole. Brendan Gryasel from South Africa in Snake is P3 up 0.12 with 50 kilos on softs. Nadine from Namibia in first corner is 9th on mediums. Best lap is a 0:56.623. 3.377 off pole. Dylan Conway in first corner is 7th up 0.16. Best lap is a 0:54.494. 1.248 off pole. Five minutes remaining in the session. Dylan Conway improved his P7 with a 0:54.475. 1.229 off pole. Mike Gear from South Africa in last curve is P10 with 50 kilos on softs. Jeffrey Eliru in first corner is first up 0.11. Mike Gear in last curve is P10. Peter Grobler in last curve is P6 driving a Nissan. Peter Grobler improved is P5 with a 0.53.925. 0.679 off pole. Mike Gear is P9 up 1.32. Brandon Gryasel is third driving a Honda. Brandon Gryasel improved is P2 with a 0.53.364. 0.118 off pole. Peter Grobler in anti-banked curve is 6th up 0.12 driving a Nissan. Peter Grobler improved is P5 with a 0.53.702. 0.456 off pole. Peter Grobler is up 0.03 in first corner. Leon is P8 on softs. Best lap is a 0.54.293. 1.047 off pole. Brandon Gryasel in last curve is P2. Mike Gear in first corner is P4 up 0.09. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Mike Gear improved his third with a 0:53.329. .083 off pole. The race session is at laser scanned ACC conversion. In Suzuka, Mie Prefecture, Japan. The wind speed is 11 km/h from the north-northeast. "15 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Brandon Gryasel is P2. Mike Gear from South Africa in first corner is P6 with 50 kilos on mediums. Peter Grobler is third on softs. Tommy Glad from South Africa in last curve is fourth on softs. Janine Glad from South Africa is P10 on mediums, 0.5 behind Nadine. Mike Gear on lap 2 is 5th, 0.4 behind Tommy Glad. Leon from South Africa in anti-bank curve is P8 on softs, 0.3 behind Dylan Conway. Nadine exiting pits on softs. Nadine from Namibia in first corner on lap 2 is P10 on softs, 0.4 behind Janine Glad. Jeffrey Eliru from South Africa in first corner is second with 75 kilos on mediums, 0.4 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel from South Africa in Snake is 6th with 50 kilos on softs. Best lap is a 0:54.376. 0.744 off the fastest lap. Jeffrey Eliru in last curve is P2. Tommy Glad is P4, 0.5 behind Peter Grobler. Jeffrey Eliru in Snake is P2, 0.5 behind Jaco Weiss. Mike Gear is 5th, 0.4 behind Tommy Glad. Jeffrey Eliru is P2, 0.4 behind Jaco Weiss. Tommy Glad in first corner is 4th, 0.4 behind Peter Grobler. Mike Gear from South Africa in Snake is 5th, 0.4 behind Tommy Glad. Mike Gear lost P5 to Brendan Gryasel. Jeffrey Eliru from South Africa is 2nd, 0.3 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel is P6. Best lap is a 0:53.898. 0.266 off the fastest lap. Mike Gear in Snake is 5th. Best lap is a 0:53.950. 0.318 off the fastest lap. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Mike Gear passed Tommy Glad for P4. Brendan Gryasel in last curve is 6th, 0.4 behind Tommy Glad. Mike Gear is 4th, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Tommy Glad in first corner is P5, 0.4 ahead of Brendan Gryasel. Brendan Gryasel in anti-bank curve is P6 on softs, 0.2 behind Tommy Glad. Jeffrey Eliru from South Africa is P2, 0.3 behind Jaco Wies. Tommy Glad is 5th, 0.1 behind Mike Gear. Brendan Gryasel in Snake is 6th on softs, 0.3 behind Tommy Glad. Jeffrey Eliru in last curve is 2nd, 0.3 behind Jaco Wies. Tommy Glad is P5, 0.4 ahead of Brendan Gryasel. Jeffrey Eliru is P2 driving a Honda, 0.5 behind Jaco Wies. Tommy Glad in Snake on lap 9 is 5th, 0.2 ahead of Brendan Gryasel. Jeffrey Eliru is 2nd, 0.2 behind Jaco Wies. Tommy Glad is 5th, 0.1 behind Peter Grobler. Leon in first corner is P6, 0.5 behind Tommy Glad. Jeffrey Eliru is 2nd driving a Honda, 0.2 behind Jaco Wies. Tommy Glad in last curve is P5, 0.3 behind Peter Grobler. Peter Grobler is P5 battling Tommy Glad. Leon in Snake is 6th, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Leon is now 5th. Five minutes remaining in the session. Janine Glad in last curve is 8th, 0.6 behind Peter Grobler. Leon in first corner is P5, 0.2 behind Tommy Glad. Janine Glad in Snake is P8, 0.5 behind Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel is 6th, 0.5 behind Tommy Glad. Janine Glad is 8th, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel in first corner is 6th driving a Honda, 0.2 behind Tommy Glad. Mike McGear in last curve is P3, 1.6 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel is P5 with 50 kilos, 0.2 behind Tommy Glad. Leon in first corner is P7. Best lap is a 0:54.233. 0.683 off the fastest lap. Brendan Gryasel in Snake is P5, 0.3 behind Tommy Glad. Peter Grobler exiting pits on mediums. Janine Glad is P6, 0.3 behind Brendan Gryasel. Janine Glad was 0.7 faster last lap. Leon is 7th, 0.5 behind Janine Glad. Janine Glad in first corner is 5th, 0.2 behind Tommy Glad. Janine Glad was 0.9 faster last lap. Janine Glad is now P7. Leon in anti-bank curve is 5th, 0.3 behind Brendan Gryasel. Leon was 0.6 faster last lap. Tommy Glad exiting pits on softs. Tommy Glad in Snake is P9. Brendan Gryasel in Snake is P5 with 50 kilos, 0.5 behind Leon. Mike McGear is P3, 0.4 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel is P5. Mike McGear in Snake is 3rd, 0.3 behind Jaco Weiss. The leader has just finished the race. Jeffrey Leroux finished P1. Tommy Glad finished P9. Mike McGear finished P2. Jaco Weiss finished 3rd. Brendan Gryasel finished P4. Janine Glad finished P5. Dylan Conway finished 6th. Peter Grobler finished 7th. Nadine finished 10th. Announcer bot is active. The race session is at laser scanned ACC conversion. In Suzuka, Mie Prefecture, Japan. The wind speed is 7 km/h from the north-northeast. "15 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Janine Glad is P4. Brendan Gryasel from South Africa in first corner is P7 on softs. Janine Glad from South Africa in snake is P7. Leon from South Africa in last curve is second on softs. Jeffrey Eliru from South Africa is third on mediums. Best lap is a 0:55.932. 0.818 off the fastest lap. Tommy Glad exiting pits. Brendan Gryasel in snake is fourth, 0.2 behind Jeffrey Eliru. Peter Grobler in anti-bank curve is P6, 0.4 behind Mike Gear. Jeffrey Leroux from South Africa is P2, 0.3 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel in first corner is 4th, 0.5 behind Leon. Brendan Gryasel is now P3. Peter Grobler in Snake is 6th, 0.4 behind Leon. Jeffrey Leroux in last curve is 2nd. Peter Grobler is 6th driving a Nissan, 0.5 behind Leon. Jeffrey Leroux in Snake is P2. Best lap is a 0:53.859. 0.694 off the fastest lap. Janine Glad entering the pits is 10th. Tommy Glad entering the pits is 9th. Brendan Gryasel in last curve is P3, 0.4 ahead of Mike Gear. Mike Gear from South Africa is P4 on mediums, 0.3 behind Brendan Gryasel. Peter Grobler in first corner on lap 5 is P6, 0.3 behind Leon. Jaco Weiss from Namibia in anti-bank curve is 2nd, 0.3 ahead of Brendan Gryasel. Brendan Gryasel is P3 battling Jaco Weiss. Janine Glad exiting pits. Tommy Glad exiting pits. Mike Gear in first corner is P4, 0.2 behind Brendan Gryasel. Mike Gear passed Brendan Gryasel for P3. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Peter Grobler is 5th, 1.5 behind Leon. Leon was 0.7 faster last lap. Leon in first corner is 4th, 1.5 ahead of Peter Grobler. Mike Gear is P3, 0.9 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel is P6, 0.8 behind Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel was 0.6 faster last lap. Mike Gear on lap 8 is third, 0.2 behind Jaco Weiss. Mike Gear was 1.0 faster last lap. Peter Grobler is sixth, 0.4 behind Brendan Gryasel. Brendan Gryasel in first corner is P6, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel was 1.2 faster last lap. Mike Gear in anti-bank curve is P3, 0.2 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel in last curve is P6 driving a Honda, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Mike Gear is P3, 0.5 behind Jaco Weiss. Brendan Gryasel is sixth. Brendan Gryasel passed Peter Grobler for P5. Mike Gear is P3, 0.5 behind Jaco Weiss. Peter Grobler in first corner is P6. Best lap is a 0:54.241. 1.494 off the fastest lap. Mike Gear from South Africa in anti-bank curve is P3, 0.4 behind Jaco Weiss. Five minutes remaining in the session. Brendan Gryasel is fifth, 0.4 behind Leon. Brendan Gryasel was 0.6 faster last lap. Mike Gear is P3, 0.2 behind Jaco Weiss. Leon entering the pits is sixth. Peter Grobler in Snake is fifth, 0.3 behind Brendan Gryasel. Leon exiting pits on softs. Jaco Weiss from Namibia in last curve is P3, 0.4 behind Mike Gear. Mike Gear is third, 0.1 behind Jaco Weiss. Jaco Weiss is third. Tommy Glad entering the pits is P10. Peter Grobler in first corner is P5, 1.3 behind Brendan Gryasel. Jeffrey Eliru is P1. Brendan Gryasel is P4 driving a Honda, 2.5 ahead of Peter Grobler. Brendan Gryasel is now third. Jaco Weiss is fifth. Nadine from Namibia is P8 on softs. Dylan Conway from South Africa in first corner is P6 on mediums. Jaco Weiss from Namibia is P5. The leader has just finished the race. Jeffrey Eliru finished P1. Leon finished P7. Mike Mcgeer finished second. Brendan Gryasel finished third. Peter Grobler finished P4. Nadine finished 8th. Jaco Weiss finished P5. Dylan Conway finished 6th.